This viral clip had more than 9 million views depicting the interrogation of a San Diego PD officer is leaving everyone in the comments section with more questions than answers. What's more is it just cuts off without even giving you the guy's name. So sit back while we fuck up the entire Like for Part 2 community with a one video explanation. This guy's name? Then 26-year-old Sheriff's Deputy Jaylen Devon Fleer of the San Diego PD. Or at least until April of 2020, when the department was presented with evidence he had been at a bare minimum, let's just say, sending certain photos of himself to girls who were not yet of age. And it only gets worse from this point on. You see, between the dates of March 27th and April 8th, which, mind you, was about halfway through his wife's pregnancy with their child, this guy not only contacted more than 40 girls, all of which were under the age of 18. It was later determined he had actually met up with and gone through some extremely despicable acts on at least 4 separate occasions. Keep in mind, these are only the ones we know about and were able to be proven. However, as stated by multiple news sources and investigators alike, it is highly likely there are still victims that have yet to come forward. This is due to the fact he had actually told most of his victims that he was a police officer, and it was for this reason. I quote, "They were scared to go to the police because he is the police." It is also worth noting 4 of his victims were found to be between the ages of 12 and 14. To make matters worse, he would then use those same victims and offer to pay them if they could direct him toward any of their friends. So why these dates specifically? Why did he all of a sudden just stop on April 8th? Well, on the morning of April 9th, San Diego County Crime Stoppers received multiple tips regarding an officer who had been engaging in the aforementioned acts. And it was at this time he knew the heat was on and that he had to lay low. But the string of digital breadcrumbs this guy left behind were dumbfounding to say the least. Turns out he had been sending pictures to some of his victims showing his full face while in this same exact uniform. This tells us the guy truly didn't think he would ever be caught and that he had no fear of consequences whatsoever. But just a couple of weeks later, on April 30th, 2020, he was called into a room where he agreed to be interviewed. It was during this 43-minute conversation the interrogator says, "Look, we're here looking into some allegations that you have apparently been communicating with a minor," while at the same time reminding him about certain aspects of Snapchat, such as,
and I know Snapchat is all private, right? I mean, you have to add somebody.
Yeah, I believe I had that. Yeah.
You can't just
request a friend.
Yeah, you can't just be anyone. So that one's at least a little bit better, where it's like you have to actively search for somebody, right?
Well, before too long, he started getting sketched out as they began asking him about the interior of his home. But then they straight up ask him about any videos he may have filmed with women in his past, proving to be the pinnacle point of the conversation.
I'm a lawyer because I'm uncomfortable with this. This is weird.
And by the end of it, he would realize they knew much more than he was led to believe when he was presented with a warrant for his phone, his locker, his DNA, as well as his car and access to his house. Just 4 months later, he was taken into custody, where he initially pled not guilty to 20 felony and misdemeanor charges pertaining to the acts themselves, as well as several failed attempts to meet up and solicitation. But if we fast forward roughly 1 year later to June of 2021, he would plead guilty to all 20 charges, receiving 12 years in prison, placing Jaylen on the list of wait, no way. This guy was definitely not a TikToker.